Farmers in the Vic No-Till network are developing their regenerative farming systems using a number of tools, including the combo of a disc seeder and stripper front, by protecting their soils, feeding their soil biology, and protecting their emerging crops. Their regenerative systems are becoming more resilient to the extremes of Mother Nature.
With our farming system, once you put the Shelbourne front on and within minutes you just think we should have done this years ago. It all just comes together and makes sense, and yeah, it's a really nice piece of equipment to have. Yeah, a lot of people buy them purely for harvest efficiency, so thinking about tonnes per hour, and that's important, but for us it's actually about establishing the next crop. And we can plant our next crop into that residue and it'll just come up nice and evenly, and for that, establishment and plant competition is really important. And that's probably the main reason we've actually got one.
We were a bit keen on this stripper front to just see if we could speed the whole operation up, I suppose, because we weren't getting anywhere. We did on that, I think we did about 40 hours. And look, we thought it was brilliant. You doubled the capacity of your header.
Have a look here. It's amazing. There we go. Found one of it. Yeah. With a shoot on that little bugger.
We had a lot of fun with it. Learned a lot. You can see the massive benefits of look, if you're having trouble keeping residue, that stripper front is the answer. The further you go north, I suppose, the harder it is to keep residue in your paddocks, and that, to me, would seem like a no-brainer to keep that straw standing, because standing stubble is king, I think. Yeah.
I just love the look of this now with all that residue, and there's so many options we can do with a disc that we haven't been able to do with a tine, like this residue, but also at times we've got this crop up really high and green, and we can go back in and sow through those green plants quite easily, actually, because they're all anchored and that with their roots. So, you know, there's just a lot of things you can do, options you have with a disc. So by keeping this residue on top, not covering it with dirt like the tine machines do, it allows the stubble to stay, you know, keep the soil covered for longer. And you know, that, I think that's one of the biggest benefits we have is yeah, keeping that soil covered and protected from the sun, and keeping the moisture in and temperature regulated a bit more.
Looking at what some of the more innovative farmers are doing across Australia and across the world with their stripper straw and disc seeders, and focusing on soil health, making our soils more natural and increasing our soil biology, will make our plants more resilient to Mother Nature, and therefore we'll be less likely to be affected by frosts or heat or whatnot, which will hence make us more profitable.
I think it's actually the piece that's brought it all together for us. So a lot of the other things that we've done with our stubble retention, and we do control traffic. We used to do a lot of inter-row sowing, and really the residue management was a really driver in crop productivity. And by having the Shelbourne and that even crop establishment for the following crop, that's brought it all together. This protects the soil from environmental elements better, from heat and wind. We can conserve a lot more moisture as well, and often for longer. It's been a real game changer.
So we describe the disc passing through stripper straw like a comb running through your hair. And that's the best way to describe that. And so as long as that straw is reasonably well anchored and it's long, then the disc will just pass straight through it.
When we started with No-Till, we had a rapid period of soil improvement. Structure would improve and function, so infiltration would improve quite quickly. But I think after about 5 or 6 years, it sort of plateaued. Then we went to a zero-till system, and that actually, we've increased those benefits again. But bringing the stripper front into it again just seems to be the next level for us.
The seed placement of a disc, lack of disturbance, a lot of things. There's a lot of things going for a disc. Look, it just makes sense, I suppose. Look, the whole system. It's not necessarily just say stripper front or anything else. It's a whole system, and you put the whole system together. and you do see some huge benefits. Yeah, the wind is probably causing most of your evaporation. I mean, the sun's there, but it's the wind that dries things out. So if you can increase your stubble from here to here to here, what happens is the wind comes along, it goes up and over, and basically underneath, it's got its own little environment down below. That can only be good, because obviously, you know, for all your microbes, whatever's down there, whether it be just any sort of wildlife down there, is going to be enjoying life a lot better out of the wind.
Well, this crop behind me here is a crop of double crop mung beans. So we harvested the wheat, and then we had some harvest rains, and we went back in behind that wheat and we sowed mung beans. So really, the stripper straw is key to be able to get that crop up, because our soil temperatures are high and the solar radiation is high in our summertime. So that allows us to get that plant up, get it growing healthy, and hopefully conserve water that the mung beans will use later to fill pods.
You've probably got to have a disc seeder. They probably go hand in hand, really, because you wouldn't get through the residue with a tine machine.
It's a little daunting when the stubble's over the top of the frame of the air seeder, but it just, goes through it, springs back up after you go through it, and you wonder if it's going in the ground, but you get out and scratch around, and it's just as good a job if there was no stubble there.
Go for it.
Yeah.
We've done some lentils with it as well, and that's been quite successful. It's in cereal crops and disc seeders. I think they should just be sold together as a pair.
With this straw, it gives you a greater window to use that moisture, and you've got a small window to get your crop established, whereas in the winter it's cooler, the days are shorter, so that moisture holds in the soil longer. So by having this standing stubble can actually create a bigger window to get some of these things established and hold that moisture in for longer, rather than it drying out so quick with our intense sunlight. It all takes time, and that's something that people have got to be aware of. You don't just expect to go in and, year 1 or 2, just it all happens and there's this silver bullet or magic formula or recipe or something. Like, it takes time.
If you were just flogging away out there doing what we used to do, we would be broke. There's absolutely no question. If we were farming like we were in the 70s and 80s, we would be broke.
Oh, I think we've been flogging it for years and years and taking. It's time to start putting a bit back, I think.
Now we're just going to go no tillage, stop disturbing it.
Start feeding the soil biology a bit more, start letting it do what it does itself. And, before man started playing around with it.
Well, the system we have now, we tend to try and sow earlier and be at the front of all our planting windows, and just having the straw and the moisture retention and moisture available at the surface, we've been able to establish crops when we want to, in most years when we want to, when there's minimal moisture there, but there's seems to be enough to get them up, and it's been surprising how well you can establish a crop on not much moisture.
I'm 6th generation on this farm, and my grandpa talks about growing crops, and the soil was soft, and some of the ploughs and things they pulled with horses, there's no way a horse would pull that through the soil these days because the soil's changed. So now we're trying to bring it back to, regenerate it and bring it back to what it was, and through all this system and all these principles. And because we don't want to be sustainable where we are, we want to get better, we want to regenerate.